And let's move on to the classification of business organization based on size or scale. Both have the same meanings, all right. So there are two main categories or classes of business organizations that are based on size or scale. That is small and medium scale businesses and large scale businesses, right? So there are like several countries decide on those businesses on their own criteria, right? So to tell a small business or to call a business a large business, they have set a certain criteria that you need to meet, right? Like for example, Sri Lanka has established a criteria based on capital. So if you like there's a limit on the capital. Like if you invest a big capital, a huge capital, and start a business, that can be considered as a large organization. Or if the capital is low, you can call it a small or medium organization, right? And based on number of employees also, we can say that a company is a small or medium, or it's a large company, right? If it is less than 25 people, they consider it as a small organization or small business. And if it is like more than 250, for example, they can be considered as a large organization. So it differs from country to country how they really categorize those businesses, right? And also the amount of energy. Some businesses use tremendous amount of energy. I mean, they use a lot of energy, like factories, for example, garment factories, and corporations, like mainly it's manufacturing businesses, huge factories, for example, um, export industries, right? Like food processing and uh, different companies of those scale, right? They use a lot of energy, so they can be considered as large organization. Or if the energy requirement or the energy consumption is less, they will be put into small or medium category, right? And also the market share. Based on the market share, that means, let's say for example, there's a rice producer like Aralia or Nipuna, for example. They control, like, let's say 10% or 20% of the market share. That means 20% of all the rice products which is coming to the market in Sri Lanka are owned by Aralia, let's say. So that means based on that we can say Aralia Sahal or Aralia Rice Mills is a large company, something like that, right? So for example, Prima, if you say Prima, they are one of the leading importers of wheat flour to Sri Lanka. Maybe they are controlling around 40% of all the imports of so this is just an example, right? So those days they used to control a huge market share. That means of all the wheat flour imports to Sri Lanka were done by them, right? Almost like a big share of it. Okay, then we have Serendip, and there are several companies, right? So based on that, if they are controlling a huge market share, they can be considered as a large scale business, right? I hope you understood. Okay, we learned about classification of business organizations based on ownership before, and let's move on to the classification of business organizations based on objectives over here, right? So, what are we trying to say here is the aims of starting a business organization. It can be for profit or not for profit. Some businesses are aimed at purely obtaining profit, and some are focused on not for profit but welfare, right? So if we say profit oriented businesses, we can categorize them into two, like private businesses and public businesses, once again. So for profit, sole proprietorships, partnerships, and incorporated companies, everything are profit oriented businesses, right? So they fall under for profit businesses. And we also have under public sector state companies which are for profit. A good example is a Satosa, right? So Satosa is also stands for Samupakara Togavelanda Sangstha. So they are for profit business, right? What they do is wholesale business of essential goods, right? And we have not for profit businesses, like in the private sector we have cooperative society based mainly on fulfilling welfare objectives, right, of a certain community, certain village, or something like that. So those associations and cooperative societies, all right, can be considered as not-for-profit businesses. And also under public, we have departments and state corporations which are not profit oriented. For example, if you say the identity card department, and there are several departments like healthcare and things like that. They don't really work for profit, right? They don't expect profits, so they fall under not-for-profit businesses. Guys, we are moving on to the last two sections of the lesson, and then we can move on to the past papers. And I think I have marked a lot of past papers, including MCQs and some written questions. So business organizations is a really important subject. Why? Because there will be both MCQs and written questions based on this lesson. So it's very important that you learn this lesson very well, because this is one of the core subjects when it comes to business studies. Alright, so let's talk about selecting a business organization. If we talk practically, if you want to start a business, you have to select a type of business organization that you are going to be in. So there are several criteria that are based on which you can select a business organization. That is based on objectives. So let's see, if you want to start a society, or if you want to start a association, club or something like that, so just check the objective. What is your aim? To gain profit or not to gain profit? So let's say if you want to think about social welfare, if you want to do something good for the people, you opt to start a cooperative society or a health club or sports club or a community club, something like that. If you want profit, you can choose a sole proprietorship company, a partnership company, or you can choose to incorporate it, right? So that is depending on what your objective is. And also you can choose based on the capital in your hand and everything, the scale of the business, right? So you can choose a small scale business, you can choose to start it as a large business, by taking big loans and by bringing in a lot of investors, maybe foreign investors or something like that. And then next one is who will manage the business. Now let's say a sole proprietorship, there's only single owner, so single owner is the manager himself, so he is the decision maker of the business, right? So when it is a partner who will manage, it is both the partners together will manage the business, right? And if it is an incorporation, directors will run the business, or directors will manage the business, and there will be managers under them, so that they get together, and a lot of people are involved in that case to manage a business, right? So let's talk about the procedure for registering a sole proprietorship organization, all right? And if you decide to start a business on your own, and if you want to do it alone, that can be called as a sole proprietorship business, right? We already done that. And if the business name you choose is different from your name, that means the business name is different from the owner's name, it is a must to register. Why? Because we spoke that already, because somebody might steal the name, or you can't use the business name. It doesn't have a proper identity, right? And anybody can steal that name. There will be a lot of problems coming later on. So that is the reason they have brought an ordinance called Business Names Ordinance in 1987, facilitating or giving way for people to register their business names so that they can't be stolen. They have proof. For example, if you register your business, you have a business registration certificate, which is also called the BR, so that you have proof that you own the business name. Same like you have CR for your vehicle, right? If you buy a vehicle, how do you prove that it's yours? You go to the Department of Motor Traffic and register it under your name, so that they will give you a certificate of registration, or we call it the CR, right? So you have something which is also commonly referred as the book. So anybody can come to you and tell that this is my car or this is my motorbike. How are you going to prove that it's yours? Because you have a registration document. Same like that, anybody can come and tell you, come to your business and tell that look, this is my business, you got to get out of this place. How you can prove that it's yours? Because you can show the business registration. Okay, look, this is my business and I have registered it. I have proof that I own it. So that is the reason we register a business. All right. This is the procedure to register a sole proprietorship company, what you need to do first is you need to go to the divisional secretariat's office where the business place is located, right? For example, if the business place is your house, you are going to go to the divisional secretariat, or we call it the Pradeshia Lekam Karyalaya. For example, now my house is in Gotatua, so we belong to Polonnava Pradeshia Lekam Karyalaya. So I will go there and tell them that I want to register a business. Then they are going to ask me what kind of business. I'm going to tell that I'm going to register a sole proprietorship business. Then they will guide me. They will send me to the appropriate officer, right? So that officer will issue me with two documents. One is the application form to register a sole proprietorship business, and the second one is a report to be filled by the Grama Niladhari, or we call it Grama Sevaka. That officer will file a report, right? So we need all those two documents, so that we have to take that particular document. We have to fill the application form by ourselves, and we're going to meet Grama Niladhari and tell him that we are going to start. I have already started a business, and look, you have 14 days to register a business once you have started it, right? So you can't register a business without starting it, right? So you are planning to start a business, so they won't do that. Why? Because you need to declare that you have already started the business. So Grama Niladhari will come and check the place, and if he is satisfied, he will fill the report, and he will recommend that, okay, I have inspected the place and everything is in order, and you can proceed with the registration of the business. After considering all the above documents, the divisional secretary or the Pradeshia Lekam Karyalaya will issue a certificate of registration, which is also called the business registration, right, in common words in Sri Lanka. So they will, in the business registration, you can see the name of the business, the owner, and the address and everything. And once you have obtained it, it is required that the certificate is displayed at the place of business, right? If it is a shop, you have to hang it in the wall of the shop, so that if anybody comes, they must be able to see it. All right. Moving on to the last part of the lesson, we'll learn about advantages of registering a sole proprietorship. That is, you will have an identity and recognition towards the business, so that your business will be separately recognized from other businesses, right? So that is one of the advantages you have by registering a business. And it provides an ownership to the business name, right? So that you can prove that you are the owner of the business anytime, right? So that is one advantage. And also it provides a qualification to obtain incentives given by the government, right? Government incentives. From time to time, the government might decide to give small incentives like low interest loans or grants or things like that, tax concessions and things like that for small business owners. So if you have registered your business as a sole property or a small business, for example, you are eligible to get those incentives given by the government. And also it will make it easy for you to obtain loans from banks. If you go to a bank and you want to apply for a loan to, let's say, expand your business, you have started a shop and you want to start another branch for that shop, and you need a loan for that. You go to the bank and you ask for a loan. The first thing they will ask for is your BR, or business registration certificate, right? So if you don't have it, it's going to be really difficult for you to obtain a loan. If you have it, like you are halfway through, that means you are recognized as a business person, and it will be easy for you to obtain a loan. So those are some of the advantages of registering a sole proprietorship. Remember, at least 3 of them, right? Okay, so we'll move on to the question papers. I'll be uploading the work that you need to do, the question numbers and everything in a short while. All right, see you then. Bye bye.